Peace, what up, YouTube? It's your host, Dre Lloyd, New Face, New Jersey, and this is Straight Lace Network. Today, we're going to get right into it. We're actually going to talk about something that I spoke briefly on before my last video when we were talking about, whether or not people should be getting paid for interviews. We were talking about the whole Vlad and Boosie fallout, and I briefly touched on Aries Spears. But I wanted to actually talk about what TK Kirkland had to say. Earlier today, he released, DJ Vlad released a part 2 of his interview with TK Kirkland, and he actually made a couple of good points. And this is something that I actually wanted to expand on. And, you'll hear what TK has to say, but basically he's explaining how sometimes, man, when you're not paying attention to what you need to be paying attention to, and that's what's in front of you, what's in your own lane, and you start paying attention to what other people have going on, sometimes you can trick yourself out of a blessing. You can definitely trick yourself out of a blessing paying attention to what other people are doing and, pocket watching, if you will. So, but let's listen to what he has to say, and then I'm actually going to touch on that because it's real important.
Always get your money and keep it moving. That's like being at a job at Microsoft or Google and you find out what your coworker is getting and you go to the boss and you start saying X, Y, and Z. Your boss gonna look at you like you're crazy.
Well, listen, people warned me about putting out these numbers. Like when I said the Boosie gets 25 and then I put out that
I agree, that's wrong.
4. Well, no, people warned me about it and they're like, are you worried about your other guests leaving? And I said, no, because I could sit down with them and I could justify the numbers based on.
And so what Vlad said, as far as him not being worried, it seems as though he thought that he had a better rapport with his guests, such as Boosie and Aries Spears, than what they actually had. Obviously, we see, what the outcome is, and they actually had a falling out. This is why we're talking right now. But when it comes to this, situation, it's important, man. It's important to keep in mind that, in this situation, sometimes we can kind of get ahead of ourselves. What TK said earlier about, if you found out what your coworker was making, depending on what position and what roles you're playing in the actual company or whatever organization you work for, if you went to your boss, and 9 times out of 10, you're not going to your boss or your manager questioning anything. Especially in the days and times that we're in right now. But at the end of the day, if you're getting paid, you're not going to go to your boss and say, hey, listen, I heard that, this person right here is getting paid more than me. Why is that? I demand a raise. You're not doing that, man. A lot of y'all's not doing that. And that's what I'm saying. Like, I'm really kind of like, I don't want to say I'm shocked, but it's kind of like, yo, come on, man. Like, it's common sense. To me, it's common sense. You got to take your feelings out of it and just understand that, everybody's not going to get the same. Everybody doesn't play the same role. They're going to talk about, LeBron James. You think that everybody on the Lakers is getting paid the same thing that LeBron James is getting paid? No, you got certain people who don't even touch the floor. You got certain people who just watch the game. It's like they just pretty much got even though they're on the team, they got season tickets. They're just sitting on the game. They're watching everything. They're watching the team win, watching the team lose. They're practicing with them, but they're not even playing. Some people who are on that team, who've been on the team for years, you don't even know their name because they never even get a chance to play. They might be making $500,000 a year, $250,000 a year, $100,000 a year, but they're practicing. They're not playing the same role. LeBron James is out here. He's carrying the team. You know what I'm saying? Allen Iverson, when he was in his, in his prime, he's carrying the team. Michael Jordan, when he was in his prime, he's carrying the team. Everybody doesn't play the same role. Everybody can't be the boss. Everybody's not going to get the same, when it comes to, when it comes to the split, man. Like, everybody's not going to get the same thing. Ask yourself that. Like, are you the MVP of the year? If so, why? Improve it. What's the scoreboard looking like compared to everybody else, compared to your teammates? What's it looking like? You know what I mean? And that's basically like what Vlad was trying to say. Like, he was inviting him back on a platform prior to him inviting him back on a platform. Let's take a look at the numbers and let's go from here. But he didn't even want to do that. Aries didn't even want to do that. It's crazy.
Yes, but people. And that's it. And for every person who cannot have a normal conversation and understand that, it's not like I'm paying Boosie 25 and he's getting the same traffic as everyone else and everyone else is getting $500. No,
Right.
there's a difference in traffic, which is a difference in
Yeah,
revenue.
but that's like a basketball player knows he got his
Right.
contract. He sees what this other person get. He can't all of a sudden change the contract.
Right.
You put in the work.
LeBron's getting how much? I need the same.
Right.
Why the fuck are you a bench warmer?
Exactly. The goal is to work harder.
Right.
If you
know there's a potential to get that.
you got potential.
There you have it. There is a potential to get 25 on VladTV.
If you got to do the numbers.
Right.
Bottom line is
Bottom line.
numbers don't lie.
Now, here's the thing. I want to get your advice,
All right, so listen. We're gonna stop there. I really want to know what you guys think about everything. Personally, like I was explaining before, when it's all said and done, the lesson and the moral of the story is humility. Okay? If you're gonna demand more, you have to bring more to the table. You can't, start and spark a conversation about what you're worth based off of numbers, your numbers, whatever numbers you have in your head, and somebody's coming and saying, hey, listen, let's look at the facts. Yeah, I hear what you're saying, but let's look at the facts, bro. And you don't even want to come to the table to have that conversation. That shows a lot about your character. I don't know Aries. I think Aries is hilarious. I'm not taking anything away from his talent. I'm not taking anything away from who he is as a person, who he is as a man. But at the end of the day, this is an example that we all need to learn from. And I think a lot of people started getting spoiled because I don't think for everybody who, I'm gonna ask you a question. I'll ask you this. I can guarantee that the Breakfast Club reached out to Aries Spears for an interview. And I don't want to keep just throwing him under the bus, but it's just, you ask yourself this question. If the Breakfast Club reached out to you for an interview, would you ask them for money? Would you demand them to pay you? And if they didn't pay you, would you turn them down? I don't think you're turning them down. Personally, I really honestly don't think you're turning them down. If ABC or a major news network wanted to, or Oprah or something like that, wanted to have you on their show to talk about whatever it is that you had going on, are you going to demand money from them? And if they don't pay you whatever it is you think that you're worth, are you going to turn that down? I don't think you're turning it down. Because the reason why is because when it comes down to it, Vlad has a community of people. Every channel, Say Cheese, Vlad, Joe Button Network, they have a community of people who are loyal to them. Yeah, you might have a following, but they have a following of their own. And it's an equal exchange. You have a talent. You see people who do it all day long. People go on press runs. Every time they have something going on, yeah, people might know that, this person, Kamala Harris, she went on a press run. People already knew she was on, running for president. But guess what? You know where she was at? The Breakfast Club. Doing interviews. Because it's a possibility that someone who might not necessarily be in tune with what she has going on and, in that space, she has to get in front of every single camera and in front of, the right people who might not be tapped into what she has going on in order to promote what it is that she has going on. You see all the rappers do it, maybe not so much nowadays, but nonetheless, at the end of the day, the rule is the same. In order for you to demand more, you have to bring more to the table. You can't make up things in your head and think that, you deserve more based off of what a couple comments might have to say. Because for every comment that you see that might tell you that you're worth X, Y, and Z, there's an equal, if not more, amount of comments that's telling you the exact opposite. So now, what are we to go by? Are we to go by what the comments, the comments that Aries said, is being used as a measuring stick to determine his value? So therefore, what those comments, had to say, what those people had to say, that's to dictate what somebody else is coming out of their pocket with? Absolutely not. That's not even like a logical, way to go about doing things. So again, what TK said, and what Vlad was talking about, in this interview was very important. I think it's a lesson to be learned in all of this. Personally, I feel as though that, if you are getting paid to do an interview, that's a blessing. If you're taking time out your day, or somebody's taking time out their day to put you on their platform, and they have a big platform, and they, and it's exposure, then, take it for what it is. Go out there, put your best foot forward, and hopefully that whatever it is that you have going on, can translate. But again, leave it in the comment section, man. Comment, share this video to everybody, subscribe, and let me know what you think. Do you think that Aries Spears is tripping? Do you think that I'm tripping? Do you think that Vlad and TK Kirkland have valid points? Let me know what you think. Again, follow us on Instagram and all social media networks at Straight Lace Network. See you later. Peace.